We'd like to welcome in Norm Casse to the show. And Norm went on his own for the first time earlier this year after being instrumental in several Breeders' Cup winners over the years, World Approval, Classic Empire, Tepin, Catch a Glimpse for his father, Mark. And Norm, it's great to have you here, man. Exciting times.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys. And, yeah, we're really excited to be here.
Belle Laura is the horse that you have in the Breeders' Cup this year. Just talk about your decision first before we get to the Breeders' Cup to go out on your own. You know, a lot has been talked about the timing of it, and obviously a Bellarmine University graduate here in Louisville with a business degree, but now you have your horsemanship degree as well, and the timing was obviously right for you.
You know, Joe, it was just a matter, and my wife Gabby hates when I say this. I had just got, it sounds really bad, but I had just got bored in the position that I was in as assistant. Here I was training world-class horses, Tepin, Classic Empire, to name a few. But I felt like I had maxed out my capacity at that job, and it just had gone stale and stagnant on me. And I just think at that time it was pretty obvious what needed to be done. And there's never a right time to do it. It just felt like the time.
So I'm curious because I've been told that you can spend years and years and years being an assistant trainer. But the moment that you are in there with your name on the program and everything is your responsibility, when you walk through the door as a trainer in your own right, everything changes. Did you experience that?
I don't, as far as the way the horses are running and everything, I don't feel much different because we developed a program together. I took the program with me, and so the way that the horses are conditioned and trained is very much the same, and I'm very confident in the way that we bring horses over. So I feel good about that part. I'd say the biggest thing that I've noticed as far as on a personal standpoint is just the confidence that I have in myself now because I went out and I did this, and now I'm putting my money where my mouth is, so to speak. And it just feel, I don't know the best way to describe it. I just feel like I'm maxing out my capacity or whatever. So it's just a different feeling.
We talked about the fact that you have a business degree, which is great in this business because you have to deal with owners. You have the Casse name, which is a lot to live up to. Your dad's a multiple Greatest Stakes winner, a multiple Sovereign Award winner.
It's a Hall of Famer in Canada.
Hall of Fame.
Probably
that
one
name
day
is,
here.
It's just synonymous with horse racing. Is that something that you feel like you have to live up to? And what's your relationship with your dad, and what discussions occurred before you decided to be Norm Casse on the program?
We have a great relationship, and he understands. Basically, my dad has a legacy, and at the end of the day, I started doing this because I wanted to create a legacy on my own. Most people don't know this, but my mom's father was a horse trainer. He was at River Downs and places like that. He would never have got to experience what we're doing here today, actually. And then my grandfather was a breeder, owner, and trainer for Dad's dad was. So I've got a legacy to live up to, and at the end of the day, that's why I'm doing it, because I want to create my own thing. And it was hard to leave Dad, and I mean, there was some animosity at first because he kind of took it a little personally, and I took it a little personally, and things like that. But at the end of the day, it's about family. That's the reason we're doing it, because I think Dad's created a really good legacy for himself, but if I go on to become something really special as well, that adds to his.
I want to talk about this filly, Belle Laura, and I'm curious, before she ran the huge race in the Jessamine, were you thinking that this might be a Breeders' Cup type horse?
Kate, I thought she was really good when we first got her. She was breezing really well, and she just showed she had all the qualities of being a talented horse. I didn't know how good she was going to be, but I thought she was going to be a good, like, allowance type horse. We ran her at Ellis, and she had a terrible post position that day. And I just said to Corey rode her first start, and I said, you know what, we're on the outside. Let's take her back and let's just see how she handles the turf, and we'll go from there. And he came back beaming like this is a serious racehorse. And after that, it was pretty obvious that we had something special there. And the thing about Belle Laura that I can't understand is how she broke her maiden here, because she was parked wide on both turns, and she was running really spotty throughout the entire race. In fact, if you go back and watch when she broke her maiden here at Churchill, it almost looks like she's going to finish last on the far turn because she's kind of losing interest. Julian picks her up again, and she manages to draw off, still running greenly. And actually, after she broke her maiden, that's when the light bulb really came on. And it's funny, her work before the Jessamine, I literally thought, wow, we're going to win the Jessamine. And then, of course, the draw came out, and we have another bad post position. All of our hopes of winning the race were really thrown out the door that day. But she ran respectable enough to be here, and truthfully, I wouldn't be surprised if she makes some noise.
Now, you've been competing against the highest level of competition since you went out on your own in Florida earlier this winter. 14 for 71 so far as a trainer, Norm. That's 20%. You've been winning in all categories. You seem to have a really nice knack with 2-year-olds. You seem to have a really nice knack with turf horses in particular, and you've been around some good ones. Do you kind of feel the same way?
Yeah, it's really easy because I've been lucky enough to be around these type of horses. So a lot of guys, they first start off, they probably don't have the experience that I have. I've been around these type of horses. I know what makes horses special. I know what it takes to make them compete at the highest level. And the biggest thing is you get to gauge them compared to what I've been around. And so I'm not going to compare Belle Laura to any of these horses that went on to do unbelievable things, but she definitely has the foundation, and she has the chance to become those things, and I truthfully believe that. And, my time with Dad is invaluable because I just got to experience stuff that has helped me get to this point.
And no doubt, having experienced that, particularly I think with the work that you did with Tepin and the places that she took you, and I know your dad has always credited your training with Tepin as much as anything for her success. Do you feel like that's prepared you for not just what you need to do with the horse from a trainer's perspective, but also what you need to do to just handle any outside pressures, any of the noise or excitement that gets generated around having a horse in a race like the Breeders' Cup?
Caton, the funny thing is a lot of people, and we already touched base on why I left and did this on my own. Tepin's probably the main reason. I mean, my legacy and Dad's legacy and our family's legacy is one part of it, but I probably wouldn't have felt as confident or had the confidence to do it if I wasn't around Tepin, because Tepin kind of let us think, wow, we're not just Canadian horse trainers. We're not just, we can be at the highest level. We can go over to England and win their most prestigious race. We can do anything we want to do. And so Tepin put that in me. And then as far as training goes, a lot of people are asking me if I'm nervous leading into this, and I'm not. It sounds crazy, but I'm not nervous at all because I've been around these type of horses. The horses Belle Laura's done everything she needs to do to be here. She's earned a right to be here, and I'm confident in what she's done. And that comes from experience.
Since you've gone out on your own, what do you feel has been the biggest surprise that you've encountered so far, and what do you feel you've been the most proud of up until this point? It's been 10 months. You were with your dad a lot longer, but now it's you.
I'm just proud of the way the horses are running. You just want the horses to run well and not embarrass you. And, we've had a few hiccups, but for the most part, I think all the horses are running well. I think we've spotted the horses in the right races, and I'm proud. What I guess, Joe, probably the thing I'm most proud of is the success we've had in Kentucky, because Kentucky's my home, and Churchill Downs is my home, and it's my favorite racetrack. So to do really well here and to do really well at Kingland, I'm very, very proud of. Thankfully, I was very well prepared. So there hasn't been many surprises. Everything we have encountered, we kind of expected, and that comes from the client standpoint to the financial standpoint to just running the business. And thankfully I had Dad. I have a lot of people that have taught me a lot of things, and so we were really well prepared when we came into this.
We saw the field for an instant. I'm curious. I know that you are an avid fan of the sport as much as you are a horse trainer too. Have you sussed out the competition? Do you have a line on who you think the horses to beat are, or are you focusing on yours?
It's pretty obvious who we have to beat. I think it'll be a little more. We'll have a little more idea of what we got to do after tonight when the draw happens, because, Chad Brown's horse or filly is very talented, but we've brought, and by we I mean me and Dad, have brought some very talented fillies into this same spot and had a bad post position, and all things were lost at the draw. So if Chad was unfortunate enough to have a bad post with this filly, I would say all bets are off with her. So I'd say we probably don't really need to figure out what we need to do or who we need to beat until the draw tonight, and then we'll start figuring out. It's obviously a very contentious race. It's a Breeders' Cup. We're going to have to bring our A game, and all we can really do is worry about Belle Laura.
Well, Norm, it's been great to have you here, and of course we're rooting for Belle Laura, and I'm sure you still are rooting for your dad's horses because you have a connection to a lot of those as well.
It's actually really nice, Joe. They put us back in. I'm back in barn 36 where it all started. We're getting to hang out this week and just seeing Dad's horses train today. They all look great, and I wouldn't be. I guess if you asked me who I thought would have his best shot, I really like Awesome Slew in the mile. He's just been a tough luck horse this year. He's run against some really good horses, but he likes Churchill in particular, and the 1-turn mile is perfect for him. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's made some noise in the mile.
Best of luck. First of many Breeders' Cup starters. I'm sure Kentucky Derbies, Kentucky Oaks, all that good stuff is in your future, and this is just the beginning, man.
Thanks for having me on, guys.